Again, one of the most important things for a blocker to do is to be ready. So ready position for a blocker, we want to make sure that the knees are bent. We want to make sure that your elbows are in, your hands are in front of your face, in between the net and your face. A blocker needs to be ready to move, either ready to move to their left, ready to move to their right. As soon as they see the setter set the ball is when they react. So the blocker is ready, in their ready position with their knees bent and the elbows in. When they block, a blocker wants to make sure that they jump straight up and straight down. We don't want to drift from one direction to the other. As a blocker jumps, we want to make sure that they jump, shrug their shoulders to get optimal height, penetrate over the net, make sure that their hands are nice and big. When we block, we want to make sure that our hands are pointing to the middle of the court. A lot of times players on the opposing team will try to hit the ball into the blocker's hands to try to make it go out of bounds. So it's important for a blocker's hands to be a little less than ball width apart, facing the middle of the court on the opposing side. If a blocker has to move one way or the other, there's different footwork patterns. There's a few different patterns. I'm going to talk to you about two basic ones. First footwork pattern I want to talk to you about is the two-step shuffle. If a blocker is going to their left, they start with their left foot. If a blocker is going to the right, then they start with their right foot. If I'm blocking and I want to go to my left, the two-step shuffle, one step with the left, a closing step with the right, and the blocker will jump up. So a live look at that block would look like this. To the right, a two-step shuffle will look like this. If the set is pushed a little bit further out and a two-step shuffle isn't going to cover enough ground, blockers will utilize a swing blocking technique, which will generally use 3 steps. Again, a blocker will start with the foot of the direction they're going. If a blocker is going to the left, they start with their left foot, another step with the right, they're going to close with their left foot, they're going to jump up and block. Going to the right, a blocker will start with their right foot, again with the left, close with the right, jump up and block. A live look at that block would look something like this. To the right. Again, we don't want to drift from one way to the other because that takes out other blockers. It's important to jump straight up and down.
We're going to talk about blocking as an outside hitter. The first thing you want to do as a blocker is be vocal. Okay. What does that mean? First thing I do is I look on the court and I call out my hitters. Okay. Why is this important? Because every rotation, things are changing. Also, you may have somebody subbing in, okay, that isn't familiar, that hasn't been playing the whole game, so they want to know who's going up to hit. So first thing is call out my hitters. Next is call my setter. Setter front row or back, okay? Because often, as the position 4 blocker, you have responsibility for helping or even solo blocking the setter, okay? The next thing I want to do is look at our starting position, okay? There's a few things about our starting position that I often see people do wrong that are very easy and fundamental that you should always do correctly. Okay, the first thing is your distance or starting position off the net, okay? Basically speaking, I want to be elbow distance away from the net, this far from the net. Got it? Okay. Next is my footwork, okay? Now, depending on the pass, my footwork changes slightly. If it is a great pass, okay, meaning a perfect pass, what will often happen is that the back set tends to speed up, or the red set. So as a result of that, I will actually turn my left foot slightly more in order to give me a little bit more of an opening in order to cross over, okay? Now, the worse the pass, the more likely it is to be a high outside set or a pipe or a high back set, all sets that give me a lot of time, and 2 of which would mean I move in this direction. So as a result, I would slowly turn my left foot a little bit more, okay? So it's not turn that much, it's more like here, okay? The next thing is your hands position. Now, as a number 4 blocker, one of your responsibilities is helping block the middle. One of the big things I see is that people start with their hand here, here, all over the place. Now, as a full blocker, you're responsible for helping a quick attack. Now, obviously, it's a quick attack, so you have to get your hands there very quickly. Now, the advantage, the good thing about it is, often the quick attack is not a very high spike relative to the net. It comes just over the top of the tape. So in terms of your full block, you want to start with your hands up, right here, and basically make one tiny move, okay? The move is from here to there, here to there. You will notice two things with my hands. My right hand is straight, and my left hand is facing into the court, because the spiker is coming from this angle. So my left hand blocks this, my right arm is straight. Okay, so once again, quick movement. Boom. Okay, arms up, quick movement. Okay, that's it.
First thing I tell my blockers is to come about elbows length off the net. This really works them, or makes them work on actually jumping and pressing over. A lot of blockers get really tight to the net and they go up straight and they're not really able to press over the net. Starting elbows length away from the net is going to allow them to penetrate over the net. But notice they've both gone elbows length above the net. One of the most important things is really getting a maximum jump in your block. A lot of kids do a really quick jump, but the correct thing to do is go down in a squat position. Okay, go down to a squat. That way they're getting their maximum position up, and they're both going to keep their hands up at about waist length. When they go up, their thumbs go up, their index fingers go up like this, so that they're really closing on the net and penetrating over. Go ahead. Okay. Notice they're both going up and they're both sealing the net over. It's kind of like you should feel a crunch in your abdomen every time you go up to penetrate over the net. Go ahead. And one reason I know for a fact that they're penetrating over the net is if you look at their feet, go ahead, their feet are coming forward in that motion that they're penetrating over, and their feet kind of go forward. That's just a natural position. The next thing we'll do, same thing, if you're closing with a block, closing with an outside blocker. Let's pretend Gabby's in middle right now. Same thing, if she's closing with the block, she's going to open, cross over her feet, get here. She always keeps her hands up, closes with the foot, and then the outside blocker would say, ready, ready, up.
Ready, ready, up.
And they go up together. All right, Gabby's going to open up with her left foot, cross over in front with her right, close with her left to the outside blocker's right foot. Or if she's closing out to the right, the outside blocker's left foot, and they're both going to go up together. It's the outside blocker's job to say ready, ready, up when she knows that that middle has closed with her, so that they're not going up at different times. They're going up together. Go ahead.
Ready, ready, up.
And they're down.
First thing we're going to do is demonstrate our footwork, and what it is we have a step, a crossover step, our closed step, and then up to block. Danny's going to demonstrate the footwork. First thing she's going to do is step out, and then she's going to do her hands come down, crossover step, and then her closed step up and over. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on our hand movements. So we're going to start as a blocking position, and from there, once we know which direction we're going to go, our hands come down towards that side, and we're going to make our arm swing move, and it's a lot like a swing move that we use for an approach. Danny's going to demonstrate that. Her arms come down, they pendulum back, and then up and over. And what we'll do is we're going to combine this with two people and continue that same movement, and we would do both sides, both a left and a right. And then the last thing we do for swing blocking, and it's one of the most important parts, is our landing. So they're going to make that swing blocking move, both of them together. They're going to land and be ready to move back into a transition move from there.
Blocking, everything that happens defensively on the court is relative to what the block is doing. So it's important that we want to have sound movements that the defense can read and not making, functional errors in the block. For example, when we're talking about the swing block, as the game is increasing with speed, we're seeing more and more swing blockers. The problem with swing blocking is not to drift. And the way you prevent yourself from drifting is that outside leg. So for example, when I'm here and I'm going to swing block to the outside, I'm going to come into the swing here, but this outside leg, I'm going to plant that solidly so that wherever I plant it from, I jump straight up from here. I'm not, if you leave this foot, when I'm starting the swing block, if I leave this foot open a little bit, then I'm going to be blocking, I'm going to be drifting out of bounds. And what's going to happen there is I'm going to drift, the middle's going to go up, and we're going to open up a big hole right in the middle of the court. So when you're doing this swing block, even if you're late, no matter where you are, you want to make sure you plant that outside step strong. Let me show you, for example. If I'm here, I'm going to take off and land in the same spot that I took off in. And the way that I'm able to do that is really thinking about that outside leg. Getting that foot turned to stop my side momentum and take that momentum from going sideways to going directly upward. Not partially upward and partially sideways, because then we're going to drift and make all kinds of problems for the defense. So from a different angle, once again, we're going to make sure we stop our body momentum so that we can take our jump straight up in the air. I'm going to be here, and I'm landing in the same spot. Okay? I'll show you real quick to show you guys again. What I don't want you to do is this, and flying outside. That's what we don't want to see. So we want to make sure that left leg is really solid and set down on the ground. This is just another angle so that you can see from the defensive position what it looks like. So you can see how valuable it is to jump straight up as opposed to drifting outside. So once again, I'm going to start inside here. And when I'm making my move, I'm going to plant that foot and land in the same spot. Once again, it's really important to get that foot nice and planted. So when I'm taking that swing block, I'm going to plant that foot and then come up so that I can land in the same spot and not fly outside the net. The first thing and the most important thing is to keep our eyes on the setter. We have to start training ourselves to watch the setter at all times. Don't start looking at the hitter, don't start looking at the ball, watch the setter. And when I say that, I mean watch his back. From this side of the net, we're going to watch his back. If he's dipping certain areas, 90% of the setters are going to show you where they're going to deliver the ball to. And if we learn to really key in on the setter's body mannerisms and his hands, then we can really get a head start in our movements to the players that are going to receive the ball. So once again, really train yourself. I know it's one of those things where you kind of get caught looking at the ball or the game's going too fast, but we really have to start doing that now so that later on it becomes automatic. And now I'm really starting to zoom in on what his thumbs and his fingers are doing. And like I said, 9 out of 10 times they're going to telegraph where they're going to deliver the ball. The second thing, once the ball is delivered and we're making moves to our opponent, we don't want to watch the ball, we want to watch our player. Let's first of all recognize where his attack arm is. For example, if he's an opposite player and I'm a position 4 blocker and he's right-handed, I want to make sure that I line up the middle of my body with his attack shoulder. So if he's on this side and that attack shoulder is, let's say where this M is, if I'm attacking from here, when I come over on my block, I want to make sure that the midline of my body is in front of that shoulder. What that does, it allows my outside hand to get outside the ball and prevents that block out of bounds. So that's rule number 2, watching that attacker's shoulder and lining up with it. The third thing I want to talk about is the mentality of a blocker. We don't want to really wait for the attackers to hit the ball into our hands. We want to take the mentality of going to attack the ball. I played with a Bulgarian middle blocker in Europe, and probably one of the best middle blockers in the world at his time. Of course, he's an older generation middle blockers, but absolutely had excellent hands, excellent timing. And one of the things he told me, which helped me get it doubled or tripled the amount of blocks that I took in the game, was he told me, Mike, attack the ball when you're blocking. Go in, penetrate, really attack the ball. Don't just go up and try to defend an area. Go up to grab the ball. Go up to take the ball. So let's go over those 3 points again. Watching the setter, rule number 1, keying in on what he's doing. Rule number 2, picking up our outside hitter, or whichever attacker is coming up and lining up at the middle of our bodies with that hitting shoulder. And the third is to really going after the ball. Let's go in and get the ball. Let's go in to block the ball, attack the ball.
Yeah, so Dylan? Just stay there for a sec. Yeah. I'm gonna walk past you, and I want you to block me. Yeah. So, coach, when you're doing your athletes, this is a process. This is an actual process to help them shape their thinking. So I'm gonna walk past you, and I want you to block me. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Okay. That's blocking, right? Now, this time I'm gonna walk past you, and I want you to grab me. Yeah. Okay. Well, grab me. Hang on. Okay. Now, listen to me. I'm gonna walk past you, and I want you to grab me. Yeah? Don't hurt me. But grab me, yeah? All right, here we go. There you go. That's grabbing, right? Thanks. That's the mentality you want to have when you're blocking. You don't want to just, and I gotta tell you, how many people I've done this with, and they all do the same thing, with the exception of maybe one or two people the first time. You go to walk past them, they're thinking block. Blocking only means protect this plane that I'm on. How many times have you seen people block like this? Yeah? They're trying to be high, but all they're thinking about is wait until someone tries to penetrate this plane, and I'm just gonna block the ball back. That's not what we want to do, especially in beach when you're one-on-one blocking. We want to use our hands, get them up. We want to come away from that plane and get out here. Like how many times your coach say, penetrate, get over there, press. And then we want to use the hands and control. We want to grab, yeah? So this is the mindset. Thanks. This is the mindset you want to have when you're blocking. So don't be thinking about just jumping up, filling up space. Get the hands active, be dynamic, get over there, press, and act like you're trying to grab the ball. Yeah? So this is the foundation that we start with.
Padły te emocje i skuteczność również. Pięknie rozegrana.
Ależ czapa teraz Wilfredo Leo zatrzymuje Żibę.
No, akcja rozegrana była świetnie, jeśli chodzi o ofensywę. Tu nie powinien stać blokujący, tak to powiem. Tu nie powinien stać, tu blokujący powinien. Do 17 dla...
Ale zbliżyli się, był tylko jeden punkcik. Troszkę mamy teraz gry, trochę jest kontaktu. Leon, no tu poczekali. Muserski z Michajłowem już drugi raz na takie zabawy się nabrać nie dali. Skądinąd teraz miał już podwójny, wtedy miał pojedynczy.
Tak,
I mógł się bawić.
Tutaj, jeżeli użyjemy geograficznego porównania, to już góry Ural były. Także było niezwykle trudno.
No,
niesamowita czapa.
czasami piłka się nie odbija tak wysoko po ataku któregoś z zawodników. No to do klip siatkarski
Tak
roku, jeśli chodzi o blok.
Zdecydowanie.
I wcale nie grają Kubańczycy.
No, dawno nie widzieliśmy takiego bloku.
Nie kończą Kubańczycy, panowie, nie wszyscy do jednego, no i to był kłopot. Hernandez zatrzymany.
No powiem ci szczerze, genialna zmiana Holta.
Tak.
Po prostu to nie można zrobić lepszej zmiany w siatkówce, żeby więcej wydała, więcej dała dobrych efektów.
No ale tu Anderson dobrze też zablokował kierunek, oni już troszeczkę Hernandeza rozszyfrowali, że wybija, bo on stara się wybijać na zewnątrz, zamykają mu całą prostą.
Ilinuk atakował, piłka po wybloku została po stronie Brazylijczyków.
Ale szapaChtieja.
Dopinguje swój zespół teraz Chwiej, który no, pojedynczym blokiem, to jest troszkę jak loteria taki blok, tym bardziej, że piłka była daleko od siatki.
Zablokowany Brawo, ale tak trochę bawią się teraz grą Brazylijczycy, no bo Brawo. Spiridonow. Taśmie przyjmuje Brawo. Druga linia, Visotto, ależ po raz drugi w tym meczu pojedynczym blokiem niszczy rywala teraz Chwiej. Popatrzmy.
No, o takich sytuacjach siatkarze często mówią, że nauczył się mnie blokować.
Leciutka zagrywka Dante, ale jedną ręką musiał rozgrywać Marlon. Ponownie zablokowany atak, no i ponownie jest to blok spektakularny.
Tak, pojedynczy blok. Mówiliśmy już o tym. Świetnie tutaj Marlon rozegrał jednorącz, ale pokonać na...
Bruno. Oj, niesamowity blok Murillo na Perejrze.
No teraz widać, że Brazylijczycy pokazują klasę.
No i to chyba...
First thing we need to be concerned about is the shape that we make with our hands. We want to make a shape with our hands that looks just like a ball. So if the ball were to be put in your hands, that's the shape that your hands should look like. As a setter, or when you set the ball, you want to make sure that you're setting the ball right above your forehead so that if the ball came through your hands, it would hit you on the head. The setter should take the ball about right here, right above their head. Finally, a setter needs to worry about, after they set the ball, they need to push through and extend, almost like they're flying like Superman. Extend those arms, legs, body, and finish square to your target. I want to show you a few live sets. There we have a few sets where I focus on my shape, where I'm taking the ball on my forehead, pushing through, and finishing square to my target.
First thing we're going to talk about is their wrists and hands and how important it is that they create a good platform. So if we're talking about wrists and hands, they're going to form it like this, and they want a nice flat surface, and this is considered their platform. Next thing we're going to talk about is that we want them to angle their platform, okay? So if this is a platform from here to here to here, they want to angle their platform to get the ball go where we want it to go, right? The ball knows angles, as we say. So let's skill is shuffling. We want them to use their feet to get to the ball. So you're going to watch them. They're going to have their platform well formed, and they're going to use their feet to get the ball, get their platform to the ball. So we call that shuffling. Okay, talking about this platform again. Brooke is showing her platform and get in a ready position. And when she passes the ball, we don't want this to be bobbing up and down. We want to keep it simple. So we just want one motion up with a good angle. One motion up with a good angle. Let's see.
First of all, how should you stand? You should not stand and wait for a volleyball like this. It is wrong. You should stand with your right foot forward, with your hands in a neutral, ready position, ready to pass high if you need to, or low if you need to. As the ball comes, your hands go towards the ball and you clasp them together. The way that's taught is to put one hand flat in the other, thumbs parallel, point them down, and that flattens out your passing platform. That's where you want to pass the volleyball from. Misty Bay, who's a really good passer, makes a fist, puts her hand around it. Canyon Seaman, he's a really good passer, grabs his thumb. It's awkward, but he makes it work because he gets his arms straight and his platform perfect. The legs are bent. As the ball comes, it's a slight move forward with the hips. Dominique is going to demonstrate a pass, and we'll take a look. She's got her hands neutral. The ball comes forward. She doesn't swing her arms very much. It's a perfect pass.
Defense, and right now we're going to talk about the defensive stance. We always tell our players that we want them to be in the best position to dig the ball. So they need to see the hitter as well as be prepared to get there. So starting with the feet, I like it when our players are on the balls of their feet in a position, feet may be staggered, so that they can go forward, backwards, side to side, as easy as possible. All right, so knees flexed, hands out to the side in order to get the hard-driven ball, and head still. We like them to keep their head still. So their hands are out to the side, and if the ball comes to their side, we want them to try to take the charge, we call it, by getting in front of the ball. So if the ball's coming here, we want them to take the charge and lift the ball up. All right, so if the ball comes really fast out to the side, we want one hand to be prepared to get it and then bring the other hand to it. The hands are much quicker than swinging your arms. We don't want them together. You've seen that happen where the people act like an elephant trunk. All right? Too slow. So also knowing in relationship to where the net is and the set is, if the ball is going to be coming down at your face, you got to come up and put your hands up to take the ball with your hands.